This video is about plant nutrition. The process of photosynthesis and the structure of the leaf will be discussed in detail. Let's look at plant nutrition. Nutrition is a characteristic of all living organisms where they take food. Food is needed to make new cells or to repair damaged parts. Food is also needed to release energy during respiration. When it comes to plant nutrition, plants are autotrophs, which means they can make their own food. The process by which they make food is called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants synthesize carbohydrates from the raw materials carbon dioxide and water using energy from light. The process of photosynthesis. Green plants take in carbon dioxide through their leaves by diffusion. Water is absorbed through plants' roots by osmosis and transported to the leaf through xylem vessels. Chlorophyll traps light energy and absorbs it. This energy is used to break up water molecules, then to bond hydrogen and carbon dioxide to form glucose. Glucose is usually changed to sucrose for transportation around the plant or converted to starch for storage. Oxygen gas is released as a waste product or it can be used by the plant for respiration. This is the equation for photosynthesis. We can write it as a word equation or as a symbol equation. Carbon dioxide plus water produce glucose plus oxygen in the presence of light and chlorophyll. Glucose produced by photosynthesis is used for many different purposes. Releasing useful energy during respiration, for storage to use later, to make sucrose for transportation, to make cellulose to build new cell walls, to make nectar to attract pollinators, to make amino acids to make proteins, and to make other substances like chlorophyll. Releasing useful energy. Glucose is used to provide energy through respiration. This energy is used for different purposes such as to take up minerals by active transport, to build protein molecules from amino acids and etc. Excess food made during photosynthesis should be stored in the plant to use later. Glucose is highly soluble in water, therefore it cannot be stored in the plant as glucose. Excess glucose produced are converted to starch and stored in different parts of the plant to use later. Starch is insoluble in water and therefore does not involve in chemical reactions or does not affect the concentration of the solutions in the cell, which means it does not influence the osmosis. Starch is made up of a chain of glucose molecules, therefore when in need, starch can be easily converted to glucose molecules. Glucose is mainly produced in leaves, but all the other parts also need glucose. Therefore, glucose is converted to sucrose, which is transported from leaves to the other parts of the plant using phloem vessels. When sucrose reaches its destination, it is converted to glucose and used to release energy through respiration. Glucose produced during photosynthesis is used to make cellulose to build new cell walls. Plant cell walls are made up of cellulose and cellulose is made up of long chains of glucose molecules. Making nectar to attract pollinators. Flowers contain nectar that pollinators can feed on. Nectar contains different kinds of sugars made using glucose. Making amino acids to make proteins. Glucose is used to make amino acids which in turn make protein molecules. We know that glucose only contains carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, but proteins contain nitrogen also. Therefore, plant has to absorb nitrogen in the form of nitrate ions from the soil. In the absence of sufficient nitrogen, plant growth will not be effective as it does not have sufficient proteins for growth. Glucose is used to make many other substances, for example, chlorophyll. Glucose is used to make chlorophyll together with magnesium ions and nitrate ions absorbed from the soil. When soil does not have sufficient ions, the plant will have less chlorophyll and would appear yellow, and also the growth will be affected. Plant leaves contain the green pigment chlorophyll, which is able to capture energy from sunlight. This captured energy immediately allows carbon dioxide and water to react with the help of enzymes to produce glucose and oxygen. Leaves are adapted in such a way that photosynthesis takes place quickly and efficiently. The structure of a leaf. Most leaves have a broad lamina. Vascular bundles enter the leaf through the petiole and reach every corner of the leaf through veins. This diagram shows a cross-section or a transverse section of a leaf, and it is clear that a leaf is made up of several cell layers. The topmost cellular layer is the upper epidermis, but above the upper epidermis there is a waxy cuticle. Then below the upper epidermis is the palisade mesophyll layer and then the spongy mesophyll layer. Among the spongy mesophyll cells, some vascular tissues are found containing xylem vessels and phloem vessels. Then below the spongy mesophyll layer is the lower epidermis, and in some plants there is a cuticle below the lower epidermal cells also. Now let's look at different tissues in a leaf in detail. Upper epidermis contains thin and transparent cells that are packed together. These thin and transparent cells allow light to pass through them to reach the bottom layers. There are no chloroplasts found in upper epidermal cells. Upper epidermis acts as a barrier to microorganisms. Upper epidermal cells secrete a waxy substance which forms the cuticle. The cuticle is thin, transparent, and waterproof. Next layer is the palisade mesophyll layer. It is the main region for photosynthesis. The cells are columnar in shape and are tightly packed. These cells contain a large number of chloroplasts to trap light energy. Spongy mesophyll layer. Spongy mesophyll layer contains more spherical and loosely packed cells. They also contain chloroplasts but not as many as in palisade cells. The air spaces between cells allow carbon dioxide and oxygen gases to exchange and also allow transpiration to take place. Vascular tissue. The vascular tissues contain xylem and phloem, which are connected to the vascular tissues of the stem. They form the veins of the leaf. Lower epidermis. Cells are similar to upper epidermis. In some plants, lower epidermis secretes a waxy cuticle. Lower epidermis contains a special feature, which is the presence of stomata. Each stoma is surrounded by a pair of guard cells, and these guard cells contain chloroplasts. Guard cells can change their shape, allowing the stoma to be open and close. Stomata allow gases to exchange and also they allow transpiration to take place. Plants keep their stomata open just enough to allow photosynthesis to take place, but not so much that they lose an excessive amount of water. When water pressure within the guard cells is high, the stoma opens. You can see the diagram. When water pressure within guard cells decreases, the stoma closes. Plants regulate the opening and closing of their stomata to balance water loss with the rates of photosynthesis. Stomata are open in daytime when photosynthesis is active and closed at night to prevent water loss. In hot, dry conditions, stomata may close even in bright sunlight to conserve water. Chloroplasts. Photosynthesis takes place in chloroplasts. You can see the diagram of the chloroplast. They are found in palisade mesophyll cells, spongy mesophyll cells, and guard cells. Chloroplasts can move around inside the cell in order to get the maximum sunlight. Each chloroplast is surrounded by a double membrane envelope. A system of membranes containing chlorophyll is found within the chloroplast. Adaptations of the leaf. A leaf contains a number of adaptations to make photosynthesis more efficient. The first is having a broad and thin lamina. Most of the leaves contain a broad lamina which allows a large amount of sunlight to fall on it. The thin lamina allows sunlight to reach the bottom layers easily and also allow carbon dioxide to diffuse to all the cell layers easily. The second adaptation is having a network of veins. Xylem and phloem allow substances like water and food to go in and out of the leaf. The third adaptation is the presence of chloroplasts, stomata, and cuticle. Chloroplasts contain chlorophyll that traps sunlight. Stomata helps in gas exchange, and waxy cuticle prevents evaporation of water from leaf cells.